Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the next in our series of live streams about building back better for carers. My name's James Townsend, and I'm CEO here of Mobilize. We are the tech startup by carers and for carers. We've been working over the last few months, nearly a year now, through the process of COVID-19 to work with local authorities and carer supporting organisations to identify and support unpaid carers in the UK. Now, you're joining us as part of the series of live streams to build back better for carers. We're looking and we're talking to a range of really influential people who have been working to support carers over the last year. And we're asking, what have we learned? What are the key lessons we can take away from COVID-19? And how can we use those lessons to move forward to a better future for unpaid carers? Please do join in as we go along. We're going to be talking for about half an hour this evening, and whether you're watching live as we come out or on YouTube later, please do join in with the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Say hi, let us know where you're watching and listening from and the organization that you're associated with, if you have one. We'd love to hear from you and any comments or lessons that you've been learning from COVID as well. Now, we've so far in this series been looking at the UK, and it's really tempting to get kind of really into the nooks and crannies of the UK system, because there are so many particular parts of the way things work here in the UK for carers. But of course, caring, family care, caregiving, whatever language we want to associate with it, is a global phenomenon. It's something that's happening around the world. And I'm really pleased that we're going to be joined this evening by Anil Patil, from Executive Director of Carers Worldwide, not only because he's very patient and laughs at my jokes whenever we're talking, but because he's going to bring a really important perspective of some of the work that they're doing around the world. So I'm going to bring him in now. Anil, how wonderful to have you with us. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, James, having me on your channel today. I'm well, thank you.
Excellent.
So I'm feeling good. Some days, like many carers in low and middle income countries where we are working, or many carers here, like some days they feel good, some days down, but still you pick up yourself and carry on. So today I'm very good. Looking forward to this conversation.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that, and we're really excited to have you with us. Now, Anil, because of the nature of your organization, I feel I ought to ask, whereabouts in the world are you this evening?
I'm based in Welwyn Garden City in Hertfordshire County. We work from home, and our operation is in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Carers Excellent. In those countries, we provide the support through our partner organizations.
Brilliant. And so tell us the story. How did Carers Worldwide come about? Because you founded the organization in 2012. What's the story there?
Thank you, James. I would like to share with you and audience today online 2 experiences have inspired me to think about this issue deeply. One was before I moved to UK, I was working in the field of mental health in India. I used to meet with many families who have been caring for their loved one who has been affected by mental illness. And they used to ask me several questions. And one of the questions was why this happened to us? What did we do? Was it a past karma? Or somebody has done witchcraft? Because in a South Asian society, we still have those belief systems. So whatever knowledge, understanding, or information I had, I was able to respond to that question adequately. But the second question, which had a huge impact on me, and I didn't think much about that really. The question was, what happens if I die tomorrow or something happens to me? This is the family carers. So at that time, I was primarily focused on person being affected, because you can see physically he or she was in pain, difficulties, and suffering, whereas carers looked normal. They're getting on with life. Neither I responded to that question nor I answered the second question which they were asking, nor I facilitated carers to come together to find an answer. So that question was constantly on back of my mind. It was really affecting and constantly reminding me, you haven't answered that question. And the second experience, James, I would like to share with you is a personal experience being a carer. Ruth, my wife, she is very much part of a journey of carers worldwide. Without her support, and this wouldn't have uh, emerged or set up this organization. So Ruth and myself, we have two beautiful daughters. And when our second daughter was born, we discovered that she has Down syndrome. Uh, of course, she is uh, clever, funny, and chatty, uh, and beautiful. It's privileged to have her. She is enriching our life. But it affected our health and well-being in the beginning, in spite of having fantastic NHS service and all. Uh, so there was, if there wasn't a support from friends and families and professionals, so it would have been much more challenging and difficult for us to cope with the life. Um, so these two experiences have inspired me to ask a simple question. Imagine country like India, where I'm born and brought up, and worked there. There are millions and millions of carers who have been caring for their loved one without any recognition, without any support, without any acknowledgement or appreciation of the wonderful role they are playing day in, day out. They are invisible. So these two experiences have led me to set up Carers Worldwide in 2012. And since then, we have been working in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Initially, I spent a lot of time in India and South Africa to try and understand real issues of carers in low and middle income countries. And there are so much of similarities are there, James, between whether it is low and middle income countries or Western countries like UK or Europe or America, Canada. Carers are feeling lonely, isolated, their health is being affected, there is a huge impact on their finances, and there is little or no respite support system for them. Finally, carers were asking about, yes, we are very proud to be caring for someone we love dearly, but at the end of the day, there is no platform for us to highlight our own issues, our own problems, our own difficulties, our own challenges. So that made me to think deeply, and I developed this Carers Worldwide model, which addresses all those issues holistically. We work through partner organization. We act as a catalyst to provide the support to the carers through partnership approach. And the second is building evidence around our intervention and engage the policymakers, how we can bring the systemic changes in the countries where we are working, and also framework change in those countries. Initially, I worked with the two organization as an early adapter with the 250 carers. Uh, Amazing results we were able to see within 15 to 18 months, that pilot phase. And over a period of 7 years, we have transformed the lives of more than 73,000 carers and cared for individuals and family members in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, working with the 10 partners organization.
There's something very powerful, Anil, in a couple of things that you said there, which I know will chime with UK audiences. That's particularly that sense of worry around what happens if something happens to me. That's a question we hear and Mobilize all the time from carers. There's a real sense of concern and worry that comes through that. And the other piece that you mentioned there, which I think will really chime, and in fact chimes with Vanessa, a member of our community who's just commented, is about the recognition from anyone for someone's role as a carer. It makes such a difference, but is often not there. And we see so often that because caring for a family member is something that happens at home behind closed doors. Exactly as you say, sometimes the role of a carer is overlooked and not seen, and that's really important. I want to say hello to Suzanne, who is listening in from Hampshire, and to Debbie, who's in Surrey as well. Please do keep those comments coming in. And Anil, it's wonderful to hear a little bit of your story. And it's amazing to think of the impact that you've been able to have in not very many years running as an organization. The last 12 months must have been a real challenge for the work that you're doing and for the carers you're supporting. Can you tell us a little bit about what COVID-19 has looked like for the individuals you're supporting?
Last 12 months has been very, very tough for everyone, not only in the countries where we are working, not just carers, but everybody's life has been impacted. Nobody has anticipated this pandemic will have such a colossal impact on everybody's health and well-being, their financials. So what we have done is, I must say, we are really grateful to all our supporters and funders who have been real understanding the situation. They enabled us to change whatever we had planned to do because of the lockdown and unable to move and meet with the carers at their home and all. So we have supported more than 11,000 carers during this pandemic, plus their family members, almost 48,000 carers, their children and adults in total in these three countries, working across more than 1,800 villages, James. The support we provided was emergency food relief package because most of the carers were daily wage workers, and when country was locked down and they didn't have any savings or where to go and work and earn the money. So through our partner organizations, we were able to meet emergency food packages for at least minimum 3 months for them. And we are also grateful through Kit for Carers, we were able to provide masks and also sanitizers for more than 5,500 carers and frontline health workers. And through them, they were able to reach nearly 260,000 families. They were able to provide the support. These are the frontline health workers. And delivery of essential medicines to the home. We made an approach to the district health authorities. We lobbied them. They issued a voluntary pass. Like some of the carers, they have been caring for people with mental illness. You know, when you stop the medication, the impact of stopping and relapse it is having is significant. So we were able to advocate, and they allowed us to collect the medicines from the pharmacy and deliver at doorstep. And again, how do we connect the carers? Because this pandemic has, again, further isolated carers. So we use the technology through phone and video-based technology to connect carers. And we provided online counseling support to carers. There were challenges for carers because they were not able to meet with other carers in similar situation. And
Anil, can you tell us a bit more about that? Because I've got two questions in there. First up, did the parts of the world that you're supporting experience lockdown in quite the same way that we have? So in the UK, we're now into our third lockdown, and it looks a particular way. People are limited in terms of their movement. Has that been mirrored in the parts of the world that you're working in?
Yeah, in the first time, yes, first lockdown, it has mirrored same as here, James. And really, it was quite tough and challenging. Nobody has anticipated. And suddenly, everybody was at home. It is such a small space. And if they were unable to provide the therapy support to the child who was required for that. So during that time, this video support and online support has made a huge difference to be in touch with other carers in a similar situation. So primarily, they were feeling more lonely and isolated. Again, their health has been affected. During this, we surveyed, for example, 72% of carers had their caring responsibility increased during this lockdown phase. And 55% of carers reported increase in stress and anxiety during that period. And there is a significant reduction in the family income. 72% of carers faced family income. And also, during the lockdown, there were many shops, everything was locked down, closed. So we had to work with local grocery shops, uh, pleading them and asking them, please, can you deliver to the next door neighbor who will make a payment directly to you. So there
And
were so many challenges. And also during this COVID-19, James, I would like to say two more points here. Is awareness about the COVID-19 itself. There was so much of misconception around that. So we were able to provide the awareness through Facebook, and we developed awareness materials and shared through WhatsApp and videos and radio announcements as well. We made in their local language. And then again, we lobbied with the government to come up with a special package to support carers and care for individual. How can we get the access to the government support? And bringing the carers onto the agenda
yeah,
within
yeah.
the district authorities or state authorities.
And Anil, you mentioned there the importance of technology, but you mentioned WhatsApp and you also mentioned video calls. One of the challenges that we have around the world is connectivity. So in theory, these tools can be really helpful, but getting access to the data and the coverage is a real challenge. And some of the countries that you're working in see some of the most rural communities in the world. So what are the practical challenges of making that technology work in that kind of environment?
It has been quite tough and challenging, James. But however poor carers are, everybody got a mobile phone. So what we done is through telephone helpline services, we started it, the telephone counseling services. We employed the trained counselor during that time, and anybody has something challenges and difficulties, they can call on that telephone helpline and get the services. So through that, we're able to provide more than 8,500 carers were able to access this tele-counseling services during this period.
Yeah.
So in the urban areas, yes, and the network and coverage was great, and data package is very cheap there in the countries where we are working. So in urban areas, we were able to, urban and semi-urban areas, able to use the video facilities. Like if, for example, in Kathmandu valleys, our home visitors and para professionals like physiotherapists, speech therapists, they were on the same kind of video technology like how we are today, and connecting to the carers at their home and giving the simple advice and guidance what they can do. And also, most importantly, how they can care for themselves. About the self-care is so important. Sometimes they forget about their own health and well-being.
Well, we see that very often here as well. And I think it's really interesting that what you've identified there with the telephone approach is that you can have some sophisticated technology at HQ that does a lot of the processing and the hard work, but actually the carer themselves, you don't need to have super sophisticated technology. It can be fairly straightforward. And so I want to ask, in terms of your experience, Anil, of supporting carers in this amazing way, and you've shared some extraordinary numbers of carers that you've been able to support. What are the lessons that you're taking forward, and how is this shaping your strategy as an organisation as we start to look beyond COVID?
One of the things made me reflect during this COVID. This is the first time I ever stayed with my family for such a long period of time. It was fantastic for me to
Sure.
spend time with Ruth and the girls, and got to know more about their likes, their aspiration and dreams. And it has been tough for them as well. For lockdown, unable to go out and meet with their friends and have the social life. And this time also gave me a fantastic opportunity to reflect and think about what is going to the strategy, how we are going to build on the kind of lessons what we learned over last 12 months, how we can support carers, what kind of strategy we have to bring in, and what kind of new technology we have to use to connect with all the carers if lockdown continues further. So up until now, last 12 months, James, we have been primarily focusing on family carers, unpaid family carers who have been caring for their loved one. One of the things pandemic has shown us is it affects each one of us. It doesn't discriminate whether you are rich or poor. It doesn't discriminate whether you are scientists or singers. It doesn't discriminate whether you are an actor or astronaut. We all go through emotionally same challenges, same difficulties. So that made me to think. I have come up with a phrase called a leave no carer behind. Whether carer are family carers, they are in workforce, or they are in the communities. So work with all the carers. How do we recognize the wonderful role they're playing, and identify their needs and challenges and continue to provide the support to improve their health and well-being so that they can continue to provide the quality care to the cared for individual. That is one. So the second one is I truly believe that if carers are healthy, the quality of care will be better. And if both individuals are able to engage in a productive work, they are contributing not only their family income, but also to the economy. And what I have come up with, the second phrase is called healthy carers, healthy economy, healthy society, and healthy family. So that is another. And the third one is because of the pandemic, there is a huge investment in emotional and mental health for carers. As I have alluded earlier, 72% of carers had increased their caring responsibility, and 55% of carers are showing the signs of mental illness and anxiety. If we don't support them, definitely it not only impact their health and well-being, but also impact the quality of care. So it is so important for us to invest in mental health and emotional well-being. And two more things I would like to say. Strategy for moving forward is so this year and coming years, we are embarking on providing a training and consultancy services to large international organization. It is not good enough just James and Anil or mobilize or carers worldwide working. Carers issue has to be everybody's business. Everybody want to that one. How can you, I, our carers all over the countries continue to engage with other service providers and highlight carers, bring the carers onto the developmental agenda. So we'll be focusing on how we can influence and international organizations, for example, Oxfam or Plan International or Save the Children, and also companies. There are so many employees who have been playing both the roles, caring as well as their own work role. Because of that, their productivity is going down, their health is affected, and less job satisfaction, how can company recognize and start providing the support to the carers? And my final point is, it is so important. Pandemic has shown that we all can be connected via technology, through technology. So there is going to be significant digital investment, and you will be delighted to know just this week, a new colleague had joined as a digital strategy officer for carers worldwide. So we recognize, and through using the technology, how we can connect carers all over the world, particularly low and middle income countries. So how can we bring their voices and of the carers onto the online platform or offline platform?
There's a number of things in there, Anil, that I know will chime with people. And Debbie down in Surrey has commented that there's a universality about making sure that we can support carers in the workplace. And that's both recognizing their caring role, but also providing the support. So it's an awareness as well as a support piece. And I think you're one of many organizations which are identifying that we need to upskill and build capacity for technology in bringing carers together. And I wonder, just as we sort of come to the end of our conversation, could you share a little bit about your vision for how we can build back better for carers? What does that look like in your view?
I would like to highlight three key points here, James. One is, as I began my experience sharing, how can we recognize the carers? Carers to be recognized and supported. Too often their role is not recognized or not supported. So how do we recognize the vital role, significant role they are playing? And the second important aspect is about the vaccination. Carers are not a priority in the countries where we are working. So how do we make sure that carers do get the priority and they get vaccinated? That way we can build back better for carers. And third and most important for this, in this pandemic has shown, is that how can we work together? We don't know what the new normal like, but that's why carers worldwide is proactively networking with various service providers, agencies like Mobilize. We are networking with Academic Institute, International Alliance on Carers Organization, employers, business communities, and how we can explore how we can build back better for carers together.
It's very powerful. Well, Anil, thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to explore while we're on the call?
I would like to ask you the same question, James, in terms of what do you think, in your opinion, what we should be doing as a Mobilize, how we can build back better for carers?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned there the importance of partnership and working together. There's something absolutely vital, I think, around building a coalition and recognizing that this is never going to be done by one organization, that we need all employers to be supported in identifying and supporting their carers. We need all local government around the world to be assisted in that role. But to my mind, I think there's something really important about leveraging the opportunities that technology provides to mobilize the knowledge, the wisdom, and the experience of carers, because you or I, Anil, can never hope to be able to provide the sort of practical information, advice, and emotional support to every carer in the world. But there's 13.5 million carers in the UK. So if you're in a 1 in a million situation as a carer, well, there's 13 other people going through that situation in the UK right now. And when you include the rest of the world, that's a very considerable community. So if we can use technology to bring people together, to share their experience in a much more of a community and networked way, then I think we can we can make that support relevant, we can make it approachable and really, really powerful as we go along. And I'm delighted that over the next few months we'll be able to share your experiences, Anil, through Carers Worldwide, along with many others as we're doing that. Anil, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been wonderful to get an insight into the work that you're doing and the fantastic number of carers that you're able to support around the world. Thanks to everybody who's contributed in the comments. And if you're watching this backwards on YouTube, you can still make comments in that, and we can keep the conversation going as we go along. Please do follow us on social media. We're at Mobilize Care on Twitter. And join us again every Thursday at 6 o'clock for these conversations where we're sharing a vision of how we can build back better. Anil, for now, thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Can I say it has been a fantastic opportunity to share the Carers Worldwide work in the low and middle income countries. And I want to say that, as you mentioned, just to reiterate, how do we continue to ignite the imagination of everybody around carers? How do we amplify the carers' voice? And finally, how do we mobilize carers? Please do follow us as well on social media, Carers Worldwide, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. Thank you so much. And continue the generation. Yeah.
We'll look forward to it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.